The wedding reception was louder than Trixie expected. She stood off to the side of the ballroom, clutching a glass that had been empty for nearly 15 minutes. Between the live band, clinking glasses, and people laughing around her, working up the courage to ask the bartender for another drink somehow felt harder than presenting her research to an auditorium full of professors. "Excuse me?" Nothing. She raised her hand a little higher. Excuse me, please?" Still nothing. Right. Her shoulders slumped. They definitely didn't hear me. A tiny sigh escaped her lips before she glanced around, hoping nobody had noticed. "Unfortunately, you had." "Oh." She froze for a second after realizing you were looking at her. "Sorry, I wasn't staring or anything." "Well, maybe a little. That sounds worse than I meant." She covered part of her face with one of her tentacles. "I'm already embarrassing myself." After an awkward pause, she slowly looked back toward you. Could I ask you for a really tiny favor? It's okay if you're busy, or if you don't want to. I completely understand." Another pause. "I just need another glass of water. The bartender keeps looking right past me. I don't know if it's because I'm too quiet, or because I'm..." She gestured toward the tentacles framing her face. "Well, this. I promise I'm not about to collapse dramatically on the dance floor. I just really appreciate some water." The moment you waved the bartender over, her eyes widened. Oh, wow. That worked immediately." The bartender smiled, poured another glass, and handed it over. Trixie accepted it with both hands like she'd just been given priceless treasure. "Thank you. No, seriously. Thank you." She took several grateful sips before letting out the smallest, happiest sigh. "I was starting to think dehydration was going to be my defining personality trait tonight." A nervous laugh escaped her. "That wasn't funny. I shouldn't joke about that. I just panic when conversations last longer than 10 seconds. She glanced toward you again. "You're still here. I thought you'd leave after helping. You don't have to keep talking to me. I mean..." Her cheeks warmed. "I wouldn't complain if you did." She straightened herself. "I'm Bellatrix. Actually, Trixie. Everyone calls me Trixie. Bellatrix sounds like someone who conquers kingdoms. I mostly conquer spreadsheets." She laughed quietly at herself. That joke was worse. "So, were you invited by Andromeda?" "Oh, the groom's side. I figured. You looked much calmer than everyone from the bride's side. They've been crying for the last hour. I almost cried too. I've never even met her before today. I don't know. Weddings make everything emotional." She smiled sheepishly. "I even cried during the rehearsal dinner. There wasn't anything sad happening. They were just really happy. And somehow that made me emotional." She rubbed the back of her neck. "I'm doing that thing again. Talking too much. I'm sorry. I've been trying to get better at meeting people. My therapist says exposure helps. So I'm exposing myself. Socially." Oh no. That sounded terrible." She covered her face again. "I promise I meant conversation. You probably think I'm completely strange already." Another pause. "You don't." Her purple eyes blinked. "Really? You've made eye contact with me this entire conversation. That's surprisingly rare." She laughed softly. "Most people spend the first 30 seconds trying very hard not to look directly at the tentacles. I don't blame them. They're A lot. I remember school. She smiled awkwardly. I heard every nickname imaginable. Squid, Mindflayer, Noodle Face. My personal favorite was seafood. I've never even lived near the ocean. So it wasn't geographically accurate. She tilted her head. Sorry. I joke when I'm nervous. It keeps me from running away. I only actually ran away twice. Both times involved public speaking. She looked toward the dance floor. The second one was kindergarten. They found me hiding inside a cardboard castle. She smiled to herself. It was actually pretty comfortable. I almost stayed. After another comfortable silence, she looked back at you. So, what do you do? She listened carefully as you explained. Oh, that's really interesting. I like hearing people talk about things they're passionate about. My work isn't nearly as exciting. I'm a pharmacologist. I spend most of my week studying medicinal compounds, usually mushrooms, sometimes fungi, occasionally both. My lab has exactly one window. We call it the luxury office. She laughed quietly. I like the work. It's repetitive. It's quiet. And nobody expects me to make small talk with mushrooms. They're wonderful coworkers. They've never interrupted me once. She smiled warmly. I know that probably sounds boring, but I like boring. Boring is peaceful. Boring lets me think. And every now and then, we discover something that might help somebody. That makes all the boring worth it. She looked down at the slice of wedding cake in her hand. This is technically breakfast for me. My sleep schedule is unconventional. My online friends mostly live overseas, so I stay awake at strange hours. I raid with my guild every Thursday. I've somehow become the designated healer, which is ironic. I panic whenever people depend on me. They keep saying I'm good at it. I still think they're confused. She giggled softly before taking another bite of cake. It's nice. Talking to you, I mean. I expected tonight to be, well, a lot lonelier. I'm really glad you came over. Trixie finished the last bite of her cake before glancing toward the dance floor. The band had slowed things down. Couples who had been laughing only moments before were now swaying gently beneath the warm lights. It's pretty. She watched them quietly. I always wondered what dancing felt like. I've never actually tried. She laughed nervously. Well, that's not entirely true. I practiced once, in my apartment, with a broom. I named him Gregory. He wasn't very encouraging. She immediately covered her face. Please forget I admitted that. I don't know why I keep telling you these things. You have one of those faces that makes people overshare. It's dangerous. Her tentacles twitched nervously. I mean that as a compliment, I think. She looked back toward the dance floor. I always assumed everyone would stare if I danced. They'd notice I wasn't very graceful, or they'd only notice. She gently touched one of her face tentacles. They're expressive. They kind of have minds of their own sometimes. When I'm embarrassed, they curl up. When I'm excited, they wiggle. When I'm sleepy, they refuse to cooperate. She smiled sheepishly. They've embarrassed me more than I have. A comfortable silence settled between you. Then, would it be strange if I asked you something? She hesitated. You don't have to answer. Really. I won't be offended. Well, she took a slow breath. Have you ever been afraid people only saw one thing when they looked at you? Like, they decided who you were before you even opened your mouth. I know it sounds dramatic, but sometimes I walk into a room and everyone notices the tentacles first. They don't notice me. Her smile became smaller. I've gotten used to it. Mostly, but every once in a while, I wonder what it'd feel like to be someone's first impression instead of my species. She looked into your eyes. You've been talking to me this whole time. You haven't stared. You haven't asked if I read minds, which I don't. Well, not casually. That's considered extremely rude. She laughed softly. I'm kidding. Mostly. She watched the couples dancing again. Do you think... Her voice became barely above a whisper. You'd maybe like to dance? I completely understand if the answer's no. I've stepped on exactly 3 people in my life. Granted, they were all the same dance instructor. He was very patient, suspiciously patient. When you accepted, her eyes widened. Really? You mean, with me? Oh goodness. Okay, don't panic. I'm telling myself that. Not you. She carefully offered you one hand. Her fingers were surprisingly warm. See? Not slimy. That rumor has followed me since middle school. I've spent years trying to disprove it. I moisturize. Regularly. She let out another tiny laugh as you walked together toward the dance floor. The music wrapped around the room like a warm blanket. She stopped near the edge. Is here okay? I don't want to accidentally knock over anybody's grandmother. I feel like that's bad wedding etiquette. She looked up at you. So, one hand here? And the other? Oh, like that. Her cheeks immediately turned pink. You're really close. I mean, obviously. He's dancing. I'm sorry. I'm overthinking again. She smiled despite herself. Thanks. For asking me anyway. I think this might end up being my favorite wedding memory.